What's up, Meat Geeks? Nick with Paradise Lager here. Today we are sitting down with Scott, with Scott's Kitchen. And we're going to talk a little barbecue today. Glad to have you, man.
Nick,
thanks for having us
thanks
out.
for coming over today, man.
Absolutely.
Great to see you.
Same here.
Great to see you. Meat Geeks in the house.
Yes. Hanging out with other Meat Geeks.
Hey, Meat Geeks.
So you guys have been here for how long?
July 10th was 6 years. So we've been here since 2017.
And that's awesome. 6 years. We were just saying it just a minute ago. It seems like way longer than that, and then it seems like it's been a flash as well.
Man, it's been an awesome run for sure. You said it perfectly. Yeah, some days it seems like we just opened and we just started doing this, and other times it feels like we got a few miles on the old restaurant here. So,
sure.
But it's been a blessing.
Good.
I mean, here we are 6 years later, and we love it.
Well, there's a lot of people around here and see you having you here as a blessing too. So it's been
Thank
cool.
you. Thank you.
The restaurant scene in general in Kansas City has had huge growth in the last 15 to 20 years. How do you see it now? Because you guys kind of started out like somewhere in the middle of that growth and that boom, and with downtown and a lot of the more family-minded restaurants and getting away from the chains. There's been so many people that have came up with some awesome places and opened up awesome places. And you're another one in that line. Like,
thank you.
How do you feel about the where Kansas City is as a food city?
Wow, that's a great question. No one's asked me that before. Well, I think that, man, we have a lot to be proud of.
Sure.
There's so many things to be proud of, and I think as the world captures more content and the stories get deeper into sort of behind the scenes and who are the people that are actually behind these restaurants, we just have so many talented stories to tell here in Kansas City, so many great ones. So regarding the restaurant scene, I think it's, we're in competition with everyone else, right?
Sure.
Our city. And of course, barbecue sort of is a topic. So,
just a little bit.
You want to stir the stick. Start talking about barbecue,
Yeah.
You want to get 1,000 comments on your on one of your posts or whatever. Choose your favorite, whoever it is, and everybody else is going to disagree with you or agree with you. But regarding just the food culture in Kansas City, for me, it's just been a lot of fun as we have just sort of gotten into the restaurant business ourselves from an independent standpoint. Since then, we've just met more people that are doing the same things and learned from them and watched them and became friends. We have a lot to be proud of here.
That's one real cool thing. It's really similar to the. I've always been fascinated by the meat processing industry. That, in essence, like we have all of these competitors, but we have an association a Missouri Association of Meat Processors, and there's at least a dozen, 24 that I can think of right off the top of my head that if we're having some sort of issue with something, like we can pick up the phone and call one of our competitors and like, hey, I'm having a problem with my hams in the smokehouse. And they're like, oh yeah, I ran into that a few months ago. Like, check this setting and do this, or call and talk to this guy. And there's so much openness and sharing. And I've seen that in the restaurant community too, with just like really enjoying each other's success as much as you're trying to compete for business with anybody else. There's a real family dynamic, and it's been really cool to see.
Yeah. Well, there's real people behind these restaurants.
Absolutely.
And these brands and real stories. And we're all just out here with our own families and our own restaurants and our own staffs and crews trying to be proud of what it is that we do and to bring a product that people enjoy. But it is work. And so one of the benefits of that is actually just becoming friends and and getting a chance to relate with other people that are in the similar situation.
That's great. It's great. It's just, yeah, it creates so much better of a feeling as a business person and as a community that you don't have to worry about all the nonsense.
You know, it's a benefit that I wasn't for sure that I would enjoy as much as it is, you know, now that you bring it up. Earlier in my career, growing up in casual dining, and I've been in the business a little while now, so I have a few, you know, laps on the restaurant business here. But you know, finishing up sort of before we did this, I was in sales with a major food distributor, and I got to go inside the front or back door of 50 to 75 independent restaurants and hotels and schools, and really get right into each and every person's world, because it was, you know, we were a big part of getting them their groceries. And so that was a start to actually seeing really inside of being an entrepreneur and an independent, you know, restaurant person. And you know what, there's a few people out there, there's always going to be a few bad apples that are going to take it a little maybe more seriously, but at the end of the day, man, we're just playing restaurant out here, you know? We just want people to come in and enjoy enjoy what it is that we're doing. And, you know, we're not too fancy. We could be, but everybody has their own story. And I think things like this are awesome nowadays, because you can just learn a little bit more about, you know, who you're eating with.
Yeah. So in that light, I wasn't thinking about this, but you just brought it up in my head. Where's your motivation come from?
Oh gosh.
What brings you in these doors every day to see how to feed all these people every day?
Multifaceted for sure, because in the beginning it was just me and a handful of employees that I will cherish forever. Just hoping that we could actually somehow chip our way into being a viable place that people would come to eat. It started like that. I mean, truly, if you've been around me, you know that, I mean, this dream for me started in my garage, in my driveway, outside of a competition barbecue pit that I really had no business, you know, entering into that world. But I was starving and, you know, I'd found my passion in terms of the smoke and the meat, and we connected with actually, you know, opening the restaurant here. And a lot of things had to sort of happen to make that happen. It wasn't that I had a lot of money at the time or the perfect plan by any means, but I had sort of decided through an event that happened in our family that sort of really made us stop and take perspective of where we were in life. You just can't talk about your dream. Nobody's going to make it happen for you, you know? Yeah. You have to set your goals, be able to take a risk, and go out there and shoot for it. And so we sort of did that. And, you know, I said I'd get 1,000 no's till I get a yes to see if I can get out here and try my little place. And, man, I knew we were a stretch. I mean, we're an old rental car building. We have like 9 tables in here. And we're sort of off the beaten path, you know. Yep. I mean, but so where does my motivation come? My motivation comes from is it didn't take very long where people started to enjoy our food and tell us that they really liked it. And of course, we wanted that to be the case. We wanted to just sort of survive, kind of make it. There's all these statistics about any business that starts, and especially the restaurant business. Yep. And I took that very personally, probably a little too personally. Where are we going with this? So since then, we've been able to enjoy a fair amount of success. We've been mentioned in places that I never thought we'd be mentioned, but these were all part of my dream. In the middle of the night, my wife would come out and say, "Scott, it's 1:45 in the morning. What are you doing?" I'm like, "Babe, come taste this barbecue sauce." She's like, "Go to bed." I'm like, "No, try these," you know? And so I believed that there was a place out there that hopefully we might be able to, you know, get a chance to do it. Since that has happened, now today I'm sharing this with the staff that loves it as much as I do, or even more. And we have customers that are such fans that also cheer us on. And so as we evolve, we just want to continue to be able to tell our story and share this with a few more people.
It's good, and all duly deserved. All the places
Thank
that
you.
you've ended up that you didn't think, all duly deserved. You're
Thank
doing
you.
some great stuff over here. So,
Thank you.
speaking of the restaurant culture and where we've been, it's been a rough few years for restaurants.
Yeah.
How have you guys seen yourselves stay the course through 2020 and 2021 when a lot of places were closing their doors? I know you have a couple other facets other than just the sit-down restaurant in here, and so how have you guys stayed the course? And then what do you see happening with the restaurant world in general coming out of kind of the craziness that we have in the last couple of years?
Yeah. Well, let me get my crystal ball here.
I'm going to need to borrow that once we're done.
Yes. Yeah, it has been crazy and rough. COVID obviously just shocked all of us for sure. And we had just kind of started to get our sea legs a little bit over here. And that's just a real blurry time for me, Nick, actually. I mean,
Same.
to think about it and to go back and look at it. Like, I always said if I was going to write a book, that should be the first chapter. But now I don't know if that's
What you
fact or
would say.
fiction,
Yeah.
what exactly happened. I
Yeah.
mean, really, the dining room closed for like 6 months. We didn't have curbside service before that. We barely emphasized our online ordering. I mean, you would have to like click your way all the way into our website to find how to do an online order.
Right.
And man, I mean, the switch just flipped. I mean, you know, that very first week, here we are doing curbside. Here we are, you know.
Yeah.
We bought to-go supplies from the distributor until they didn't have them anymore because everybody in the world was buying to-go supplies. I think it's, you know, but we learned from that. And so at that point, there was not going to be a plan B. It really stretched us in a lot of ways. Before that, we were only 7 to 3. So we added from 3 to till 6:30, which many of our guests had been sort of really asking us to do. So
Sure.
when we found out that it was going to be to go only, and we're like, well, heck, we better be open for dinner maybe. And so that was a new thing. We didn't want to lay off some of our staff at that time either. So we added the till 6:30 and we just kind of went for it. I'm so glad all that happened actually, because now that we're here until 6:30, it makes a big difference in our overall business. It opens up a whole new market for us, the hotels that are around here, as well as that dinner crowd. For us, how we survived it is we just would take it day by day, focus on what it is that we could do, not what we couldn't do, and still try to have fun. I mean, I remember Gina, who works for us and has been with me from the beginning, sewing is her passion. And she went to she went and bought some elastic from Hobby Lobby and a couple sheeps from JCPenney or something like that. And our first set of masks were made by Gina, you know. And I wore those things for an entire year, and we just, did all of that. So now, what's the landscape today? I mean, I think the winners are going to continue to win. I think people that focus on their quality, staying loyal to their brand, not doing it, not trying to be too extravagant or extend themselves, I think will continue to be successful.
Yeah, it's good. It's so many consumers now are so much more driven by the people behind the brand than they are just the brand itself. Like you can have the best product in the world, but it's like if you don't have something behind that, there's not a whole lot. People these days want to feel so much more connected to what they're purchasing, whether it's food or it's anything. And having that staying power, and to your point, being having that connection and making sure that you're staying true to where you've been, and while in the same point, having room to innovate. Right?
Yeah, I mean, this year we ended up doing a third of the games at the Royal, so that was brand new for us at our own stand that we rotated with Chef Jay Barbecue and Smokecraft Barbecue. We did the barbecue festival again, which we'll get to, but that's
Yep.
how we became partners.
Yep.
Last year. The NFL draft was mind-blowing, and we served our sausage together at the NFL draft. That was amazing, and capped it off with something really fun. I got to do the Guns N' Roses concert at the K2.
Look at there. Yeah, that's cool.
I'm serving our barbecue with my favorite band in the background.
Right?
Yeah.
Highlight.
Yes, it's a long way from the garage, I'll tell you that.
Right?
Yeah.
So talking of innovation, it was an interesting thing. There's a lot of guys who, especially in the barbecue world, like stuff is done in house, right?
Yeah.
We handle handle what we would do, and there's a lot to be said and a lot of pride that goes into
Yes.
The brisket that goes out, or the how the ribs come out, or whatever, how sausage is made.
Yes.
So we got a phone call a little over a year and a half ago from you, and why don't, with this beautiful sausage that's sitting here in front of us, that came from a love child from your mind, who's, from what I understand, walk us through the story of the last couple years with this sausage, and where that.
Yes,
where it
well, we're
was
so
and where it's-
happy. So we could skip to the end and say how happy we are that we're partners. And you guys,
As are we.
you have made such a amazing difference with our recipe and well, the collaboration of how it's ended up. So, man, so here we are. So as we're growing, all of these recipes that, again, started in my garage with no time limit, I just wanted to make them as delicious as possible.
Right.
Okay? Not exactly from the restaurant standpoint where you need to make them delicious, but also like profitable, and
Right.
like it's not supposed to take hours for someone to sit there and zest limes and juice them and some of those things. So that's always been the way that we've approached. We just wanted to make it taste great. And so as we were going along, our sausage, this came as a recipe that I made many of them to start, but to get going, when I was looking around barbecue menus, everybody had a jalapeno cheddar sausage. In fact, like everybody.
Yeah.
And listen, I like me some jalapeno cheddar sausage. I mean, let's get down on those things. But I thought, man, is that really what I want to do? I'm always known to kind of be out there on the side a little bit. And so, man, I started getting into sausage. So I started making all the different ones. And our Chipotle ghost pepper jack cheese sausage came from like this recipe over here that I really liked, and then this one over here, and then sort of ultimately they merged together, and that's the way we started the business, and we made our own sausage, and we were very proud of that. And in the beginning, I would make a batch, and I'd freeze half of it because we weren't busy, and we would hardly sell anything.
Right.
And so we'd pull it out and we'd make it, and it was great, and people liked it. Everybody comments on the spice because it's got a good kick.
Yes, it does.
But we're proud of that, and we're fine, and not everybody needs to eat the sausage.
Sure.
So that's how it started. Well, as we just keep to sort of getting a little busier, now all of a sudden we're not making it once a week. Now, actually, we're doing something with, fast forward a little further, but we're doing something with the sausage every day. Today's the cut, the grind, tomorrow's the case and the smoke. And so we got to be making quite a bit of that. Hey, that's great. We signed up for that. It's our sausage. We can't be complaining about the fact that we're selling a bunch of things that we want to sell, right? I've always thought about, the perfection in sausage. The sausage making craft is amazing. And I can tell you, as many as I've made, man, it's hard to really nail it.
It is.
The casing, the texture, the consistency shout out to your local sausage maker. When they nail it for you, you go to a restaurant and that sausage is just the way you like. There's a lot of art and science that goes into that. Both. Okay, so we had entertained some options for some larger events, and everybody did remark on our sausage and was interested in us bringing it. But it always kind of scared the hell out of me because how am I going to make that much sausage? And we're barely keeping up with the amount that we made.
Right, just to come out of here.
Just to come out of here for our customers. And so fast forward, not this summer, but the summer before, we were invited to a giant event in the Arrowhead Stadium parking lot, Q Barbecue Festival. And when they brought 12 pitmasters from across the country to serve barbecue out in the Arrowhead parking lot for a 3-day festival. And so, oh my gosh, they started out and I'm so excited to be invited. I'm from Kansas City and I'm going to be one of the Kansas City people. This means a lot to us. Anytime we get, it's a big deal.
Sure.
All right, great. You guys, I'd like to bring my burn-ins. No. Somebody else is bringing burn-ins, Oh, I see. Okay. How about we do our brisket? People really like the brisket. Well, actually, these guys from Texas they're going to do the brisket. Oh. All right. Well, people really like the ribs. How about, no. I'm like, well, what's left?
Right.
Am I going to do pulled pork? Hey, I make a nice pulled pork, No, somebody else. Okay. Well, people really like our sausage. It came out, like I was holding it back, And
anything to not make me make 350 pounds
I
of
know
sausage in the next
better.
2 days.
I know better. And so, hey, tell me about that. I'm like, okay, well, it's this and then, oh yeah, we should do that. and then we also,
Which is the answer you knew
we
you were
also,
gonna get, right?
we also ended up signing up for our turkey. So hey, go to a barbecue festival and get smoked turkey. Hey, it's delicious. We stand by our turkey. It's really good. So we did turkey and sausage that year. So I immediately knew that, oh no, And my staff always, they love when I come home with good news. But they also go, there's also a factor for all of us to go, oh, how are we going to do that?
Right.
And so that's when I picked up the phone. And I've always been a fan of your business for many years, for longer than I even knew. My brother-in-laws, Dad Roger and your dad obviously were Knights of Columbus together, and that's how we met initially. And I heard lots of stories about making meatballs and all sorts of things out of your guys' shop. So I've been a big fan and picked up plenty of my own meat from your shop. So I pick up the phone, call over, talk to Lou, and I said, hey, let me tell you what I have going on. So I bring over the sausage that I made, all my ingredients. Lou takes me through an extremely comprehensive questionnaire. Says, all right, let me take a crack at it. And I'm like, okay, well, I need this. I'm like, what's the timeline, Lou? Like, I'm gonna need this, and like, I can't remember what it was. It was pretty.
Yeah,
it was pretty quick turnaround. I think it was less than 2 months, which
that's what I was.
Testing and innovation
30,
and
45 days,
everything.
somewhere
Yeah,
in there.
and I wasn't asking for like 50 of them either. We had done the math, and it was like a giant amount that we thought that we were going to do. So a few weeks later, Lou comes back. He's got a pretty big smile on his face and says, here you go. And so I popped, the sample that he put on the smoker. And before we even got to, before we even tried one that was warm, he split one open. He grabbed a knife and he split one open just like this. And he showed me. And I just looked at it and I just man, I mean, I couldn't wipe the smile off of my face how beautiful that it looked. Look at that. I mean, look how beautiful that is.
Yeah, it's a gorgeous, gorgeous
Oh
sausage.
my gosh, with the sheen and the chunks of the ghost pepper cheese. And he told me, you know what, we did a few things that we took a few steps that are going to make it better. And he poked holes in a few of the ways that I was making it. We probably were putting a little bit too much vinegar and too much acid into it, a little bit more liquid than necessary, and that's where we were struggling some. So, a few minutes later, comes off the smoker, we slice it up, I take a bite, and oh my gosh, wow. Man, it's hard to admit that something is better,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
It was not hard to admit. I'm like, bro, you killed it. Oh my gosh, this is so good. This is so good. And so here we are. So the debut of that sausage, I think we literally picked it up from, from your shipping dock, and we drove it straight to the barbecue festival. We hadn't even used it in the restaurant. You guys hit the timing for us. We brought it down there. It was an absolute hit. We were so proud of it. Not only the taste and the flavor, but just the consistency, the presentation, all of those things. And it's been one of those signature items for us that we just love talking about. People love to talk about it as well. And since then, we've had a few more big shipments from you.
Yeah, it's been an awesome deal for us. You know, anytime we can get in for doing something with somebody local, and being able to help. You know, it's a big thing for us. Something that we've always harped on, and something we've always kept focused on is I was just actually asked this morning by a customer, if you guys raise your own beef or raise your own hogs, and real important factor to us is that we're in business, and we're in business to be successful, to make money. We've got a lot of people that we're employing now, and so that's a big aspect of what we do, is making sure that we're staying on the right side of things. But a big focus of ours is making sure that we can help support other businesses too, and especially other small family businesses. And so being able to take something like this, being able to help you guys out in a real time of need for something that you were committed to, and then turning it into a long-term partnership has been awesome for us, and been really excited to have it and be part of that whole process. So
we still have not done a good enough job, and this will be where it starts. I promise here, but the fact that you have, I've always been a fan of the heritage breed and the small farms and the farmers that you get your pork from. And I cannot buy that in a box from my distributor.
Right.
And so we were making our, the fundamental of our sausage got instantly better because we go from our commodity pork butts that, unfortunately, we don't have the whole hogs back there that we're trimming up,
right.
And so we would start with that, and yes, it's a fine product, and it's delicious, and it's amazing, but that heritage breed trim, you got those beautiful hogs, them fancy hogs, right?
Yep.
You sent all the pork chops and the loins up to Chicago and New York, but still got to do something with the trim, right?
Yep.
So that trim going into our sausage, immediately the first bite, you can just taste that beautiful pork.
Yeah.
And there's a flavor there that
that
is unmatched.
It's yes. Funny how much of a difference there is.
Yes, and it's just a lesson for me that if there's ever a question, go back to what you started with.
Yeah.
And so, despite all the fun and the techniques that you use to get that casing right and everything else, man, those,
Yeah, there's a lot to be said.
Those pigs are where it starts,
what you
right?
start with.
Yes.
I've said for a long time, like, you can give an artist a napkin and you can get a pretty cool sketch, but you give the artist a ceiling to a church and he can make history.
You guys, did you hear that? Okay, repeat that, Homer. That was amazing.
So, and that's I liken that a lot to, and that goes back to it's like we can't take credit for that. I mean, there's these guys out here that are raising these hogs, raising these beef that are busting their butts on a daily basis, getting up before sunrise, going to bed after dark, waking up in the middle of the night to go pull, whatever. And those guys are where that respect is due to, because those guys really, really, it's definitely a labor of love, just like it is in the restaurant. You really got to love animals and love farming to be a farmer. And so
Meat Geeks, there's also a distinct aroma coming from these heritage hogs.
there is.
I grew
Very
up
much.
on a farm
Yeah.
as well. My friends learned about a quarter mile from the house. What the hell is that? But that's all right. Hey, it turns out good on the other side.
Well, this has been, this has been an awesome deal. I can't wait to see what the future brings for both of us, and look forward to tackling it together. And so
I know we're going to wrap up, but I think there's one more thing that we should maybe both, if anybody's still watching, by the way, we should both take a little victory lap on and a high five. So when you guys came to me last summer, was it last summer that you were getting ready to go to the conference?
Yes.
Yes,
that
say
was
that. Yes.
that was not an afterthought, but a thought that Lewis had right after we got all this in the works, and you had your event, and we had the American Association of Meat Processors convention up in Des Moines in July, I believe. And they have a cured meats competition, and they have 20 some odd different classes, anything from boneless hams to jerky to bacons, smoked turkeys, and there's a few sausage classes.
Is this like Super Bowl for Meat Geeks, or?
So yeah, essentially this is some of the nation's best small meat processors that all come together. We chat about everything meat, and everybody brings products to be judged. And we put them up against everything else, and it's always been a great way for us to get good feedback on where our products are, and what we're doing, how we can be better. And so we needed a few sausages to take. We always like to at least take one thing that we haven't taken before, something new, and something that we like to show the judges. And so Lou picked up the phone and I think gave you a shout and said, asked if you'd be all right if we took your sausage up there.
Yes.
You obliged
Let's
graciously. And so we took it up with us and entered it into one of the specialty sausage categories. Needless to say, we came back about a month later and gave you a first place plaque out of the nation for the nation's best sausage.
Gold
which
medal,
was really cool.
or gold standard, I think is what they rated it.
Yeah, grand champion.
Grand champion.
Yeah.
And I sort of peppered him. I'm like, how many grand champions are there in there? I said, there's only one.
There's only one.
I was like, woo!
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it was awesome, and that's like the feedback that we got from those guys up there was amazing. Everybody was like, it was something new, it was something innovative, something that wasn't been done a lot. And one of the biggest comments, and probably the most common comment was, "Man, that's got some heat, but it works so well. It's still a pleasure to eat." And I think that's one of the things about this sausage that is so cool. It's got some really, really good heat to it.
Yes.
But it's not, you don't regret it at all.
Yeah. It makes you want another bite.
It does.
Yeah.
Very much so.
Well, when I found that out, okay, again, I tasted it instantly. I loved it. I loved everything about it. There was a creaminess from the cheese that I didn't have before. That pork flavor was amazing. The heat wasn't quite as pop you right off of the bat as we had done it before, and I loved the way that ended. Of course, the casing, the texture, all of those things, the appearance. So I loved it, and I thought it was better. And it's kind of hard for me to admit that, but I did. And so to get verification or validation that you guys took it to like a Meat Geeks get together, and like, again, that and to be entered into just a category, who cares? It's the category that we care about, and for you guys to come back with that validated that we did something special.
Yep, it
so
did,
great
very
job.
much so. Heck yeah.
Great job.
Heck
man.
yeah. Well,
that's amazing.
Guys, thank you very
Yes.
much for tuning in. We appreciate you. We'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Cheers. Yes. Woo!
Man, that's so good. It is so good.